Well, let's get it, 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday. The sports voice of Kansas going up on this lovely afternoon in the capital city on 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream, our YouTube channel 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page at WIBW News. Welcome in. So glad you're spending some of your Tuesday afternoon with us. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski is here. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. We are with you until 6 o'clock tonight when we will hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage of, I haven't decided what I want to call this, but it is sort of fun in this era of interleague play and everybody playing everybody at least once. And Brendan, you and me and Spencer, we're all National League guys. We grew up in National League cities rooting for National League teams.
Correct.
So now our teams, our favorite teams, play the Royals every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so tonight, with the Colorado Rockies in town to open a 3-game set against the Royals, it's sort of like this is the Royals 580 Sports Talk Survivor Series or something like that, where they got 9 games against our respective childhood favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I want to call it, like just the 580 Sports Talk Cup of some kind.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The 580 Sports Talk Royals Survivor Series. I don't know, but that's what opens tonight. First of 3 for the Royals against the Rockies. And as promised, we'll tell you all about the worst team in baseball, the team that I wholeheartedly believe has a chance to be the worst in the history of Major League Baseball. They come to town tonight to take on the Royals. Chris Bubich and Ryan Feltner are the starting pitchers in tonight's matchup. We'll give you some numbers on Bubich that are interesting. Also, a trend that the Royals followed last year that they'll do well to begin following with tonight's game as they try to rebound from a slow start and an ugly 10-game road trip, starting with a 6-game homestand against the Rockies and the Astros. So plenty of Royals baseball to get to. We'll also give away a pair of tickets for Wednesday night. I got a pair of tickets for the Rockies and Royals on Wednesday night, at Kauffman Stadium. So be listening throughout the show today for your cue to call. We'll hook you up with a pair of tickets to go on Wednesday to the K. The NFL draft is now 2 days away. We'll get to the latest news and notes from the draft and ask the question, does this draft feel a little, and I know this is an overused term in modern sports discourse, but where's the juice with this draft? Where's the excitement with this draft? Because it does feel lacking. And we get 2 days for things to get interesting, for trades, and the draft itself will unfold, certainly, I'm sure, in ways that will be unpredictable and will surprise us as we watch along. But we're 2 days out, and it doesn't feel like there's a lot of juice about this draft. I have my theories as to why that's the case, but am I the only one? I mean, Brendan, I know you are always really keyed up for the draft. You do the research, you eat the tape, you dive in. This is an exciting time for the football diehards such as yourself. But even for you, I got to imagine that this draft, compared to, like, I thought last year's draft had juice. Last year's draft had intrigue in a way that this year's draft does not.
There's one, and we'll dive into this more in particular, there's one position that sort of dictates whether or not a draft gets a lot of hype or not. Let's just be blunt about it up front. There is one quarterback who is guaranteed to go in the first round this year. And I like Cam Ward. I don't know that I like Cam Ward more than I like Michael Penix last year. Last year we had 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12. Like that's where a lot of intrigue comes from. But even there, I was putting my my mock draft together just last night. I was getting to work on it. We'll have those for you tomorrow on the show. Short show Thursday because of the Royals. So we'll get our first round mocks all together, the whole crew tomorrow. And I got to about pick 14 where the Colts are. And I stopped for the evening. And I said out loud, I was lying on the couch in my living room, and I stopped and I said out loud, this kid's kind of gross. Like there's nothing that feels like, oh yeah, this is magical. This fit right here. Like I see a superstar. I see a run on these big name players. Like, I don't know, like the whole first 2 rounds after pick 4 are like day 2 guys. Like I would be thrilled about most of these guys who will go in the first round if they were picked on day 2. Like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Instead, it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's just, there's just not a lot of woohoo, like greatness. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. We'll talk about it later in the show, but I think it could be partially, there just aren't a lot of interesting quarterbacks. And I think the intrigue with the quarterbacks there has been really forced. Like, you can't make me be excited about Jackson Dart. Nothing you say or do will make me be excited about Jackson Dart.
And that's because we watched college football.
And like, there's only so many ways you can talk about Shedeur Sanders throwing over the middle that makes me want to talk about it more. Like, there's only so much you can say. There's no, like, even the wide receiver group, there's no, Marvin Harrison Jr. was talked about for a year as the number 1 pick in the draft. I like Teteroa McMillan. He ain't that guy. You know, the running backs are cool, but even like, you know, your dad who still believes that running backs are super valuable is like, yeah, teams don't really like need running backs anymore, right? Like, there's just not a lot of star power, which also might be because this is one of the oldest drafts, I think, ever. Because guys play college football for 6 years now and transfer to 4 different schools.
Tyler Shuck can run for Congress.
Yes, he literally can. He's a year clear, in fact, of the limit for that.
So, weirdly, the offensive linemen are young. Like, there are some super young
that's true.
Offensive line prospects. But yeah, it's an old draft other than that.
But, you know, it's even hard to, and I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, so I apologize. But, like, you know, Ohio State wide receiver right now.
Buka.
No.
Jeremiah Smith.
Yes. He is going to be at Ohio State. He's going to, because you don't leave Ohio State as a wide receiver. You just don't. Except, I guess, Jameson Williams did. But, like, he's going to be at Ohio State for 3 years and is going to get the draft type and stuff. Like, oh, yeah, we watched his college career. We watched him as this number 1 guy. Look at all the guys who Cam Ward transferred twice. He started at Incarnate Word.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter is a little bit different. Ashton Genty is a little bit different. But, like, a lot of these guys changed schools. You probably didn't see them grow into these first-round or even second-round picks. I think that does a number on it. I really do.
We'll get into that and some of the latest buzz about the draft. And you know it's not a buzzy draft when one of the big notes is nobody is trading yet, and the number 1 pick is not likely to be traded. We'll get there. We'll also later in the show play a little special edition of either or over under with regards to the NFL draft. We have a shortened show on Thursday, of course, with Royals Day Baseball. So we'll just get to either or over under on a Tuesday and do it with an NFL draft twist. We're also going to talk to Michael Swain at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll do Jayhawk Weekly with Michael of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, as we do every Tuesday. But we also want to discuss, you may have seen yesterday that former Kansas guard, former Lawrence High standout, Zeke Mayo, put his name in the transfer portal with a reference in his announcement to pending NCAA rules. And you might think to yourself, wait a minute, Zeke Mayo doesn't have any eligibility left. Zeke Mayo walked on senior night. Zeke Mayo had 1 year, and he used it at KU, and he's out of eligibility. He's NBA draft eligible. Good luck, Zeke. We've all moved on from Zeke Mayo. Wish him well. Why is he in the transfer portal? Why is he not the only one? Why was Shaq Moore in the transfer portal for like 2 seconds? What is going on in college sports? We will endeavor to explain to you what exactly is happening. There is a lawsuit that is pending. There are a lot of lawsuits pending against the NCAA. And one of them in particular that is pending essentially erases the line of student athlete for good if this particular case is won by the athlete in question. It essentially turns college athletics into minor league sports if this lawsuit holds up. And I don't think that's great. And judging by much of the feedback we've heard from our listeners over the years, you don't think that's all that great either. But we'll explain what's happening there, why a player with no eligibility left would put his name in the transfer portal. We will do our best to explain to you what is happening there. Plus, we got a whole bunch of other stuff to get to, as we always do on a Tuesday edition of the show. We'll play around a random question Tuesday. We got 2 new stories on what is wrong with you, 580 Sports Talk headlines, including the playoff roundup coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, and your interaction with the program throughout. We want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is that number, 785-272-9429. You can also find us if you're watching the show on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is a YouTube channel. There's a live chat feature during the show that you can utilize to interact with us, your hosts, and your fellow listeners as well. Good afternoon, Vance, Christopher, Ryan, and everybody else who has joined us or will join us in the chat throughout today. We really appreciate all of the great interaction in the chat for the duration of the show. And speaking of YouTube, want to remind you again that coming up on Thursday night, it's the 580 Sports Talk NFL Draft Stravaganza, live exclusively on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube and on our Facebook channel, WIBW News. We'll stream the video there as well. We'll start at 9 p.m. Central Time with the draft already underway, about 2 hours in. And we, the three of us on 580 Sports Talk, myself, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis, we will be hanging out and commenting on the NFL draft. And you will be welcome to interact with us throughout. Ask us questions. Make some comments. We'll read them on the air. We've got some old friends that are confirmed to be joining us on Thursday. Don't want to spoil the surprises yet, but you'll see some familiar faces.
But we don't have many friends, and you know who they are.
Yeah, you do know who all our friends are. But no, we're looking forward to the NFL Draft Stravaganza on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, coming up Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. We hope many of you will join us for that.
I'm fired up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Let's talk some baseball, shall we? We all know, it was well documented last year, that the Royals beat the White Sox brains in. They were hardly alone in that department. The White Sox lost, 119 games, was it?
I thought it was 121.
Did they lose 120? No, it wasn't that.
Did they not get there?
No, they didn't get there. They almost got there. No, they did. They did lose 121 games.
The disrespect.
They did. Holy moly, they did. I thought they had avoided that.
41 and 121.
Man, worse than I remembered. Holy schmoly. They lost 121 baseball games. Yowza. Anyway, so yeah, everybody got their licks in on the 2024 Chicago White Sox, but the Royals in particular went 12-1 against the White Sox. They were below 500 against everyone else they played, but they were 12-1 against the Chicago White Sox. But that was part of a broader trend. The White Sox were not the only one of the league's dregs that the Royals handled. Against the 6 worst teams in baseball, the Royals went 26-9 last year. And if you take the White Sox out and just include the other 5 worst teams in baseball by win-loss record last season, that would have been the 101-loss Rockies, the 100-loss Marlins, the 99-loss Angels, the 93-loss A's, and the 91-loss Nationals. The Royals went 14-8 against those 5 teams. And that doesn't maybe seem like great shakes. That's a 103-win pace that the Royals played at against those teams.
Pretty good.
That's taking care of business. And that's even with series losses at home to Miami and at Colorado. So the 2 worst teams, other than the White Sox, that the Royals played last year, they were 2-4 against, but they were 5-2 against the Angels, 4-2 against the A's, and they swept the Nationals in a 3-game series. So the Royals last year put the hammer down, by and large, against the dregs of Major League Baseball. Royals haven't played a lot of dregs this year. You look at their schedule, the worst team they played so far is Minnesota, who's still struggling at 7-15. They've got all kind of injury concerns, and it might be getting late early for Rocco Baldelli out there in the Twin Cities. Other than that, they played a Cleveland team that's 4 clear of 500, a Detroit team that's 5 clear, a Yankees team that is 5 over 500. Baltimore's underachieving a bit, 9-12, but I think their track record of late tells you that that's a team that's better than their record. That's what the Royals had to deal with their first 23 games. The time begins now for the Royals to deal with the dregs. And dregs, I don't think, comes real close to fully describing just how grim and bleak things are for the Colorado Rockies, who are 4-17. That is a 31 win pace, by the way. That is a team on pace to lose 131 games. And I'm telling you folks right now, don't count them out in their pursuit of that particular history, because they're not going to fire the manager. They're not going to trade for any good players. The minor league prospects you get excited about, they're already up, and this team is 4-17. They have to play 52 games against the National League West. The fourth place team in the West is Arizona at 13-9. 52 games against the division. I bet they don't win 10. I bet they don't win 10 divisional games this year. They could easily go 9-43 or worse against the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks. They're already 0-6, so they're already on their way. This is a team that has a chance to really make some history and even be worse than the 2024 White Sox. They're going to make that kind of history. The Royals have to take care of business. They're going to do it with pitching. That's no surprise to any of you. The only lineup worse in baseball than the Rockies, according to Fangraphs weighted runs created plus, is the Royals, which that's not a particularly fun fact. But it's how the Rockies are bad in particular. We all know Coors Field, the home park of the Colorado Rockies, is the most hitter-friendly ballpark in baseball. And it's not just that the ball carries and flies out of the yard. It is the expansive outfield that allows for more space for bloopers to fall in for hits and for shots up the alley to turn into doubles and triples. It's the biggest outfield in baseball. And that, more than the altitude itself, is what makes Coors Field such a great place to hit. But what do you have to do to take advantage of such an expansive outfield, the high altitude? You have to put the ball in play. And nobody is worse or on pace to have ever been worse in the history of baseball than the 2025 Rockies, who strike out an unfathomable 30.4% of the time. The list of pitching staffs who strike out hitters that often in Major League Baseball, null set, doesn't exist. There's no pitching staff striking out batters at that kind of clip. There are only 14 qualified starters in Major League Baseball striking out hitters that prolifically. Hilariously, 2 of them are pitching against the Rockies in this series, Chris Bubich and Cole Reagans. But if the Rockies can't hit, at least they also can't pitch. No staff in baseball is worse at striking hitters out. Again, Coors Field, greatest hitter's paradise in baseball. What would it behoove a pitching staff to be able to do? Avoid contact. What have the Rockies been terrible at doing for the better part of the last decade and a half? Missing bats.
Is this painful or cathartic?
Both.
Okay.
17.7% strikeout rate for the Rockies pitching staff. No staff in baseball is worse at striking hitters out. None are particularly close. And according to Fangraphs wins above replacement, they are the only staff in baseball providing negative win replacement value to their team.
It's not great.
This is an opportunity, a big, substantial opportunity for the Royals to get back on track, to get right, to, if need be, win some games 3-1 or 2-0. But also, it should be a chance for Royals hitters to jump on pitchers who do not miss bats. The Royals are a good contact team. They make plenty of contact. If it's sound contact, if it's repeated contact throughout these 3 games, I always, even when the best team plays the worst team, I always hesitate to predict sweeps. But this is a team that the Royals ought to sweep, and it is a team that it would behoove them to sweep to get themselves back on track and pointed in the trajectory that we thought they were on entering this season.
They're terrible. I mean, there's really nothing. You can give as many stats as you want. They stink. They're very, very bad. I'm looking right now. I've got 4 of the 6 legal sports books, statewide sports books in Kansas with apps right now. The Royals are heavily favored on the money line in this game, which you would expect. And even on the run line, for those who are not super familiar with betting baseball games, instead of like the regular spread in a football game, a basketball game, whatever, the run line, it's generally 1.5 plus or minus. And the team favored on the run line, you're usually getting pretty juicy odds on that. Like it's, bet 100 to win over 100 kind of odds on the run line. Not today. Not for the Royals. If you wanted to bet Royals to win by more than a 1.5, I won't tell you which book this is, but there are fans who duel there. Minus 120. You'd have to bet $120 to win 100 for the Royals to win by multiple runs tonight. That is, that tells you what the people who do this for a living think about the Colorado Rockies. Because I'll ask you, Royals fans, rhetorical question here, but you think the Royals been all that great this year?
No.
Because they haven't been, and the offense has been really bad, and yet still you're getting those kinds of odds. I looked this up, too, because I know we talked about it. I must have been on yesterday's show, Dan. What would you guess the kind of the baseline strikeout over-under for Chris Bubic is today?
Baseline?
Yeah, like, because a lot of the books, they'll offer like, oh, you can move it anywhere between these three numbers, but like the middle ground right now, the kind of even split line.
8.5.
Okay, well, if you think it's 8.5, you can get some good value. 7.5 is the line.
Wow. Okay.
Here's something Chris Bubic has not done in either of his last two starts. Struck out more than 6. And the books are saying, yeah, we think he can get to 8 tonight. Like, this is... Chris Bubic is good, and he's having a really good year. There's no doubt about that. But like they're treating him like he's going to have the one of his best games of the entire season right now in Las Vegas. If you do not win this series, I think it's panic button time if you're the Royals. Now, I agree that they should sweep. You have to, at the very least, win this series. And the point you brought up earlier about beating up on crappy teams a year ago, like. That was a big knock on even from Royals fans by the end of the year. Oh, yeah, I mean, we beat up on bad teams. We got to the playoffs and struggled with good teams. Well, you did win a playoff series against a good team in Baltimore. Also, would you rather not beat bad teams? Like, I think the Royals are in a spot, not a true probably World Series contender right now, but probably to get in the postseason, the way the year has gone for the AL Central so far, which combined has the worst winning percentage of any of the 6 divisions by a considerable amount, I believe. You got to win the division. Don't bank on a wild card run this year. You want to go and win that division and just be done with it. Winning games against the White Sox, the Rockies, the Marlins, teams like that is incredibly important.
Yes.
It is vital to making it to the postseason this year.
100%.
So you've got to take care of business. When you are presented a AAA roster, a AA roster, maybe you have to take advantage of it. I don't care about the narrative. Oh, we beat his bad teams. I'd rather that than the opposite.
Again, a reminder that this Rockies team coming to Kansas City, if you were to ask a Rockies fan, so me, who is Colorado's best player? That's Brenton Doyle, their center fielder. He is unfortunately on the bereavement list. A family tragedy occurred with regards to Brenton Doyle, the Shepherd University Division II product. So he is not in the lineup today. Their second best player is their Gold Glove shortstop, Ezekiel Tovar. He is on the 10-day injured list. Their most famous player is Chris Bryant. He has back disease. He's not going to play baseball for a very long time, if ever again.
Dog, he can't even get out of bed.
He says the rehab he's doing makes him unable to eat. Dude, just walk away, man.
Take the settlement and hang with your kids.
Go home and be a family man. The leading hitter in batting average in today's lineup for the Rockies is Kyle Farmer. That might be a familiar name for some of you because he played for the Twins last year and for the last couple. Journeyman who was not expected to start for the Rockies. They signed a different second baseman to play every day. And now Kyle Farmer has to play every day because that second baseman, Tyro Estrada, broke his wrist in spring training. Their 3-hole hitter, Ryan McMahon, has 4 RBI. Their 5-hole hitter, Michael Tolia, leads the major leagues in strikeouts with 35 of them already. Their starting catcher tonight, Jacob Stallings, is in a 4 for 28. Their starting shortstop is a gentleman named Aaron Shunk, who my dad asked me who that was when we were on the phone the other day.
That's one thing in September. That's tough in April.
So this team is miserable. And there is a lot of benefit to keeping struggling teams struggling. jumping on bad teams and not letting them up. And the Royals excelled at that last year. They will certainly need to excel at it again this year.
Would you take the Royals on the run line?
Yes, I would, without any hesitation. I would bet the Rockies to lose every single game the rest of the way, and I think I would make a pretty tidy profit.
I have had the thought cross my mind, what if I just parlayed White Sox and Rockies opponents every day? What kind of payout would I get over the course of the year?
That seems like the kind of thing that would be more fun to track than it would be to do.
Probably true.
We're going to take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back. Latest NFL draft news and notes. We got Random Question Tuesday coming up. Whole lot more show. Michael Swain joining us at 4:30. We got NFL draft either or over under later on in the program. More baseball. Your text 785-272-9429. We're just getting started on 580 Sports Talk. The Rockies are, of course, managed by 1985 Kansas City Royal World Champion Bud Black. Christopher in the YouTube chat says, Bud Black's only 68. The Royals do have trouble hitting lefties sometimes. Maybe he should take the mound himself. I feel like there are times he might want to.
It'd be sick, actually. I think you should. If they're going to wear the jersey, you should let them pitch.
I gotta genuinely go look this up. He wasn't exactly a strikeout artist. He struck out 4.6. Nice little career.
It's not great.
He's also allowed 42 hits in 24 and a third innings.
I've seen better.
It's batting practice when that dude pitches. But he beat the Nationals on Sunday night. Don't tell Spencer. Let's get to some NFL draft news and notes. We kind of touched on this earlier. This is a draft where it just doesn't feel as buzzy. I hate that term, and I hope you'll forgive me for the use of it. But there's just not as much excitement, I think, for this draft as there has been. And
doesn't have the aura.
Yeah,
is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. No riz. This draft has no riz.
That's true, though.
And I think the biggest reason for that, you kind of alluded to it at the top of the show, just the guys you get excited about, first and foremost, are franchise quarterbacks. And the Titans have talked themselves into Cam Ward, and that's wonderful. And there have been people whose job it is to talk football 365 days of the year, and they have worked very, very hard trying to convince you and me and everyone else that Tyler Shuck is good at football, or that Shedeur Sanders is going to go in the top 5, all of these things. The quarterbacks have no juice. And when the quarterbacks have no juice, the draft has no juice. So that's kind of where we're at with regards to this draft. But it does sound like, as I alluded to, Cam Ward and the Titans are about ready to consummate things at number 1 2 nights from now. We're going to have to sit through the 15-minute clock, but it was Ian Rappaport, I believe, who earlier today reported that the Titans have turned down overtures from other teams trying to move to the number 1 spot. They like Cam Ward. Cam Ward's going to be the quarterback of the Titans. I wish him all the best. I'm not rooting against Cam Ward in any way, shape, or form. I'll have more to say about this when we do either or over under the 5 o'clock hour, but I do not think Cam Ward is the guy that's going to raise the Lombardi Trophy down Broadway in a parade in Nashville. I don't think he's the guy.
I would be surprised.
So we know that. We had Matt Verderam on yesterday. He said he thinks the real intrigue of the draft starts at pick number 5, because it sounds like Cleveland and Travis Hunter, New York, the Giants and Abdul Carter, and the Patriots and Will Campbell are not feeling like locks, but feeling close enough. But Albert Breer today, Matt's colleague at Sports Illustrated, reported, and Peter Schrager did some of this reporting as well, that the Browns and the Giants could maybe be talked out of picking number 2 and number 3 overall.
Okay. Let me share the take first. That's very dumb. This is a 3-player draft. I would argue it's a 4-player draft because I really, really, really like Will Campbell. Based on what I have listened to on podcasts from people in the know, seen in reporting, etc., it's a 3-player draft, and really it's a 2-player draft because Cam Ward is getting the quarterback tax. Again, I like Cam Ward. I think that's a legit first-round pick quarterback. I don't think he would have been one of the 3 or 4 first ones picked a year ago, but fine. And Titans need a quarterback, fine. Abdul Carter from Penn State and Travis Hunter from Colorado are legit, no doubt, blue chip any year. Those are top 10 guys, kinds of talents. I think actually it would make a lot more sense for Cleveland, like in terms of need, to take Abdul Carter, because like you're going to suck one way or the other. And Travis, like, a guy who plays wide receiver and corner is going to affect your ability to win less than an edge rusher. Like it just is, even if I think Hunter is the better player than Carter, but they're probably going to take Travis Hunter. The Giants, why would you want to not take Abdul Carter? Well, like, why would you want to not take that guy? The guy whose direct comparison is another former Penn State Lion, Micah Parsons, guy who was a linebacker. Turns out, wait, he's actually way better at rushing the passer than playing linebacker. What if we played him at edge and then just like 5 snaps a game at linebacker? Oh, wow, he's an All-American. Okay, let's do that more. Like that's the direct comparison. Why would you trade out of that? What do you think you could get? There's nobody else in this draft good enough to take in the top, like, just take those guys. Don't even bother taking calls. Be like Tennessee, their GM, former chief executive, Mike Borgonzi.
Yeah.
Just today, he said, yeah, we've taken calls. We hung up. We have a consensus on who we're taking. Yeah, the whole world knows. You brought a camera crew to his pro day. Like, we know it's Cam Ward, guys. I don't know why the Browns and Giants would even consider taking calls, honestly. Like, Why? You're not going to get better. You're just going to, like, wow, you added a third-round pick to take a worse player. Great.
The only thing I can think of for the Browns is because they are in a hell of their own making with the Deshaun Watson contract.
Fair.
They need cheap labor.
That's fair.
So they need more draft picks. Like,
okay.
I could see that being part of the vision for the Brain Trust in Cleveland, thinking we just got to add quantity over the quality at this point. But you have a chance to take a football unicorn with the number 2 overall pick. I would suggest just doing that and figuring out the rest later.
Yes, I am with you. I am right there with you. You're getting cheap talent. You're getting a corner and a wide receiver for the cost of one player.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Even if you only want to use him as a gadget guy in offense, which would be very stupid, just play him at wide receiver. Like, okay, you still got a starting corner and a gadget guy. 2 players for the cost of 1.
Yeah, I think the Browns or whoever is fortunate enough to end up with Travis Hunter, see how much he can handle. And
I agree.
And back off later if you have to. You can always back off.
Yep.
But it will be easier to do that than it will be to add to his plate as you go along. Go into it thinking you can play him 130 snaps a game. You probably can't. But why not start there?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe he's a freak. Like,
I would love for him to
if Shohei Ohtani had come to play baseball and the Angels been like, well, you know what? We're just going to, maybe we'll use like a 7th inning reliever here and there. No, they decided they were going to get the full Ohtani, and look at the joy that has brought all of us.
I don't think Travis Hunter would play like this, but I hope he's been watching Tyler Lockett tape. Travis, just don't ever get tackled. Yeah, just go down. The extra yard is not worth it.
Don't take any hits. And if you've been watching tape of your father, Deion Sanders, don't worry about tackling all that much either.
Yeah, pick the ball off and go run fast.
Deion didn't tackle a soul for 17 years. That's why he played as long as he did. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we got a Random Question Tuesday coming up on 580 Sports Talk. 346 on 580 Sports Talk, which means it's time for Random Question Tuesday. The time has nothing to do with it. It's just we're doing it now because it's Tuesday. We do Random Question Tuesday. So here we go. Random Question Tuesday. Brendan, I'll let you go first today. What do you got?
What is one form of snobbery, one type of snob you will just not stand for? You will immediately stamp your foot and say, no, I will not stand for you being a snob about this topic.
People that think they're too good for fast food, but Taco Bell specifically. You're not too good for a 5-layer burrito, man. You're not. You're not too good for loaded for Nachos Bel Grande. Listen, because if anybody ought to be, it's me, right? Like I'm from Colorado. I think we do Mexican food really, really well. There's some outstanding Mexican food places here in Topeka as well. Big fan of a lot of places, and I do. I've been to fancy taquerias from coast to coast. And if anybody ought to be a snob about Mexican food, it's me. But I will destroy a loaded beef nachos and a Doritos Locos taco from Taco Bell. I do it right now in full view of the camera and everything. So I am not too good for Taco Bell, so neither is anyone else.
My stomach, unfortunately, is too good for
Well,
Taco
listen,
Bell.
that's between you
because
and your gut
I
health.
like Taco Bell, but every time I eat it, my stomach doesn't. So I've sworn off eating Taco Bell, unfortunately.
Mine is also very, very similar. It's the like family dining restaurant snob. Oh, Buffalo Wild Wings, gross. Oh, Texas Roadhouse, gross. I want to go out. I want to have a good time. I want it to be reasonably affordable. I want to have a conversation with my wife, watch a game, and eat some food that's going to fill me up. I just heard on a podcast the other day. It was an NFL draft podcast, and one of the hosts started railing on Buffalo Wild Wings. Bro, give me a break. It's good. I'm not here for a Michelin star restaurant. I'm here for barbecue sauce and to watch a UFL game, brother. Like, that's all I'm here for. I don't want to hear the restaurants now.
American casual dining. There is nothing wrong with it. There are certainly some places, some chains, like we could drive down Wanamaker someday, and I'll tell you, I like that place. I don't like that place. I think that place is overrated. I think that place slaps. I will go up and down the list for you. but
it might be overrated, but I'm not too good for it.
Right.
Because it's brother over there that serves a burger with the same wrapping but a different name. I do like. Spencer, do you have one?
I'm trying to think. I guess this is in a roundabout way, kind of like that. Somebody that like thinks they're really into sports, and then like they're getting stuff wrong, and I'm sitting there like biting my tongue, like I do this for a living. Like, come on.
So are you the snob in that case?
Not the snob, but it's like you're totally screwing this up. But like, I know you're wrong, but I'm just gonna let it slide.
Let it slide.
Paul with a good answer in the YouTube comments. Buffalo wings for my answer. I don't care if you prefer boneless or bone in, but if your high horse is why only bone in wings are wings, go kick rocks. I am a little snobby about wings, but I'll let you live.
We have a former coworker who was on these airwaves for a very long time, who's like the hair just stood up on the back of his neck. Jake,
I can hear Jake LeBon saying, "Boneless wings are nuggets."
I like boneless wings. I think they're good too.
They have a place. They do. They have a place. Hey, Spencer, do you have a random question today?
Yes. What is something that like all of a sudden you just became like a connoisseur of? Like,
okay,
in a way, like you just picked this up without like trying to pick up like a hobby, or like you own a bunch of stuff that you didn't think you would own.
Okay.
For me, it's I like to wear hats, but I used to just wear like the same 6 hats, and now I have like 30 hats, and my girlfriend says I'm out of control, and I keep buying or getting more hats.
That's a good one.
Accidental collector.
That's a good one. I'm not like none of them are like fancy or anything. I realized the other week or two back, I have a lot of jackets. I've got my nice Columbia winter coat. I've got my New Balance kind of windbreaker sporty jacket. I've got an old Sports Illustrated free giveaway Packer windbreaker. I have like 2 other Packers jackets. I've got my leather jacket. I got a lot of jackets. I don't know why did I ask for so many jackets? But I just have a ton of them in the closet.
We're almost done with jackets.
I know. I got to keep wearing them, though, to get them all equal use.
I know. I'm kind of crushed. I'm almost...
My Columbia jacket is in my office. It's 80 out. but I had to wear it.
I don't know. I've always been pretty intentional with the things that I collect, that I amass. Maybe I didn't mean to keep as many of them as long as I did. Like I've got a pile of like programs and scorecards. I'm sure I could get rid of and would never miss, but maybe I would miss them. So I tend to be pretty intentional with the things that I collect. All right, real quick one from me. What is something that you have been listening to lately, music-wise, that would surprise people who feel like they know you? What's something that's a little aside from your musical taste that you've been enjoying lately?
Ooh, enjoying lately. I don't know if I have one super lately.
I've got one.
What's yours?
Chapel Roan.
Hey, man. Pink Pony Club, go.
Yes, it does.
I have been walking around the house singing that for the last 3 days. Pink Pony Club. Yeah.
That
stuck,
goes.
stuck in my head. It's a good song.
I don't know if I have one right now. In fact, I've been listening to a lot of stuff that is like very much right up my wheelhouse, like Flyleaf and Slipknot and Hailstorm and stuff. I did when the last Olivia Rodrigo album came out a year or two ago, though. I listened to nothing but that for like 3 weeks. It's just filled with hits. It's tremendous. And I'm not exactly into like bedroom pop, but that album was awesome.
So my musical tastes are all over the place. I listen to more hip hop than anything else, to be honest with you. But I'm a big fan of the band Sleigh Bells, noise pop. You know that noise pop Sleigh Bells. They just put out a new album.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh man, Comeback Kid got a lot of rotation for me on college radio back in the day.
That song goes crazy. Yeah, people would not maybe expect that, but yeah, I'm a big Sleigh Bells guy. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. One of the best relievers in baseball is a former Jayhawk and a former Seaman Viking. We'll tell you about it next. 580 Sports Talk. From the secret text line, not the actual text line, from the 785, our guy Jake weighed in. He was listening during that last segment. He wants you to know, boneless wings are good. They are called chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are good. They are not a wing. Wing has a bone.
I'm fine calling them a wing. I am. It's just a name.
Yeah, it's just semantics. Hey, Fangraphs, which is a website that we mention quite often and get a lot of our stats from when we talk baseball. Fangraphs has an article today about one of the most dominant relief pitchers in Major League Baseball so far this season, Ryan Zefferjan. Yeah. Ryan Zefferjan, the former Seaman Viking, the former Kansas Jayhawk, a third-round pick of the Boston Red Sox, was traded to the Angels last year, made his big league debut with the Angels, and so far this year, he has the second best strikeout rate of any reliever in baseball. 27 batters faced, 14 strikeouts. Now, the ERA doesn't look pretty because he's given up a couple of home runs, one cheapie at the Crawford boxes in Houston and one to two-time World Series MVP Corey Seager. It'd be like that sometimes. But he struck out 14 guys in 6 2/3 innings. It's a preposterous strikeout rate. He's got a funky cutter, a big-time sweeper that batters are not squaring up. Kind of out of nowhere, Ryan Zefferjan has been one of the best relievers in baseball, and that's pretty awesome.
Can a better team go get him?
He might be in demand if he keeps pitching like this and the Angels fall out of contention, which we all expect.
Jed Hoyer, make the call.
When we come back for the 4 o'clock hour, Michael Swain will join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll do What Is Wrong With You. But first, why is Zeke Mayo in the transfer portal? And how far away are we getting from the real definition of college athletics? We'll explain what's happening on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk. 2 on a Tuesday. So glad you're with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com. And a special hello to everybody watching today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk.
Sup?
Or on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock tonight when we will hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage. 6:40, first pitch tonight at the K. So Royals open a 6-game homestand with the first of 3 games against the woeful Colorado Rockies. Chris Bubich on the bump for the Royals tonight. Ryan Feltner is the Rockies starting pitcher. Again, a 6:40 first pitch. Pregame coverage starting when we're done tonight at 6 p.m. Lots to get to yet in these final 2 hours of the show. We're going to do a little more Royals baseball later on, and we're going to give away, in English, some Royals tickets. I got a pair for tomorrow night to give away, so be listening for your cue to call there. We'll give away a pair of tickets for Wednesday night. Also, still to come on the show, sports headlines in the 5 o'clock hour, including the playoff roundup. It was not a great night of sports in the Lucero household. Well, for one of us. The other 2 occupants of the household could have cared less, but I wish I cared less after last night.
Yeah.
Bottom of the hour, this hour, Michael Swain will join us. Jayhawk Weekly, for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He's going to help us make some heads or tails of what we're about to talk about here. We've also got a round of What Is Wrong With You coming up. Your text to the program, 785-272-9429 is the number, 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us if you are watching on YouTube, a live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Appreciate everybody weighing in so far today, and look forward to more of your comments, more of your interaction as we go along throughout the show.
You mentioned when we were talking draft last hour that Matt Verderam said yesterday it's looking like the draft really starts at about pick 5. A lot of folks in the know believe that as well. I'm looking right now over at FanDuel's got odds for this. I didn't see any NFL draft odds over at Prairie Band, so I ventured over to FanDuel. The top 4 picks in the draft, if you wanted to bet on where each individual will go, the top 4 picks are all minus 700 or shorter odds. If you want to say, like, well, what does that actually mean? The implied probability of minus 700 is 87.5%. So Will Campbell going with the 4th overall pick to the Patriots, 87.5% likelihood, according to Vegas. Same percentage for Abdul Carter III, even shorter for Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward is minus 20,000. So if you want to make $100, you got to bet 20 grand on Cam Ward going first. Honestly, great bet. Because it's happening.
Yes.
If you've got 20 G's to spend, do it.
Yeah, put your whole bankroll on your app on that and
entertainment
couple of cents.
I don't want to get in trouble. Entertainment purposes only with that comment.
Of course.
I am not telling you how to spend your money. Entertainment purposes only.
You can't even parlay those and get like a good price.
Certain books certain books do have some draft things you can parlay. You can't do that. I'm gonna build one out, see what picking the first 4 all in a row would actually pay out, because it can't be all that much if you've got minus 20,000 odds on your quarterback going first. So let me work on this real quick. I will not be doing this for what it is worth.
For the record,
I'm tempted to put a shekel or 2 down on the 5th overall pick, though. I'm not gonna lie. I have a hunch. I don't have inside information. I have a hunch. If you bet the favorite for the first 4 picks in the draft, your parlay would still be minus 244, which is not worth your time.
No.
That's horrific value for the first 4 picks.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy. Remember back in the day when guys would sign before the draft?
Oh, yeah. I remember when the one I remember most was when Mario Williams did a deal with the Texans as the first overall pick before the draft. And that was the year everybody thought they were going to take Reggie Bush, and they ended up with Mario Williams.
2006, the year the Houston Texans talked about positional value.
Yeah,
Mario Williams was fine.
Yeah,
he
Mario
was a
Williams
nice
had
player.
a good career. Reggie Bush had a good career.
Remember that time Reggie Bush had 1,000 yards, then got tackled for a loss and finished the year without 1,000 yards? Very funny.
I do remember that.
He also sued the Lions one time. Also very funny. Yeah, Mario Williams ended his career, had 4 Pro Bowls, 1 first-team All-Pro, twice a second-team All-Pro, had a career 97.5 sacks. Yeah, 11 years. Good career.
We should clarify this. We have a text from 785.
Yeah.
If you did bet $20,000 to win $100, the question is, would you basically get $20,100? You have to have the 20 grand.
Correct. No
Yeah.
IOUs in Vegas.
You have to have the 20 grand in hand and say, I will wager this. And if I'm right, you give me all of that back plus my $100. But you can't go up to the table and say, yeah, I'm gonna bet 20 grand on this. I ain't got it on me. You're just gonna have to take my word for it.
Yeah, I'm not a big Vegas guy. I've been once. I had fun, but not really my scene. But my understanding would be if you show up to the table and say, yes, I would like to put $20,000 on this particular wager, alarm bells go off. And suddenly a lot of large, muscular men approach you and say, prove it.
1, where's the money? And 2, give us the money.
Yes. And we are going to vet every single bill you hand us to make sure that this is legit.
No monopoly money allowed. Anyway, let's get to what
there was none of that when I went to Vegas. No, nobody was worried about that.
Let's get to a story that broke yesterday that I think had a lot of people really confused. Zeke Mayo took to his social media channels. That's former Kansas Jayhawk guard Zeke Mayo, who I believe had did he play 5 years of college basketball or did he just play the 4?
He was a 4. He was post-COVID.
All right, post-COVID. So he played 4 years of college basketball. He took to his socials yesterday and he posted, and I quote, "Due to the pending NCAA rules, I have been advised to enter my name into the transfer portal. I am still focused on pursuing professional options." Zeke Mayo, not the only one who did this. Clemson's Ian Schiffline also entered the transfer portal, and his social media post read, "While I am pursuing my options on the professional level, I have been advised, due to pending NCAA cases, to enter the portal on the very outside chance more eligibility is allowed." Now, why would more eligibility be allowed? There are 2 people you need to know here. One of them is Diego Pavia. That's probably one you already know. Diego Pavia is the quarterback at Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia started his college career at the New Mexico Military Institute, I believe it was.
I believe you're correct.
NMMI, Nimmy, go Nimmy.
Nimmy.
We are the Knights who say Nimmy.
Nice.
Played junior college ball there, then ended up transferring to New Mexico State. And last year went from New Mexico State to Vanderbilt and had a real nice year at Vanderbilt, his 3rd year of Division I college football. Now, Pavia sued the NCAA and claims that his junior college year should not count towards his 4-year eligibility clock. The way things have always worked in the NCAA is you have 5 years to play for. You can redshirt, and that doesn't count against your clock. There are also hardships, injuries that you can apply for an extra year and sometimes get. Obviously, there was the blanket waiver that everybody got who was a student athlete when COVID wiped out 2020 in the spring, and then the blanket waiver everybody got in 2020-21 when the NCAA just decided, hey, that year doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah.
So Diego Pavia has played 4 years of college football. 1 of them at the JUCO level, 3 of them at the Division I level. And Pavia sued the NCAA and argued that his JUCO year shouldn't count, and he got an injunction. He hasn't won his case, but he does have an injunction. And in December, the NCAA announced that athletes would be eligible for the coming year, 2025-26, if they competed at a non-NCAA school for 1 or 2 years and would have exhausted their eligibility following this last season. So Pavia, right now, planning on coming back and being the starting quarterback for the Commodores. So there are a lot of athletes who are looking at this now and are saying, well, wait a minute. I played some non-NCAA athletics junior college is really what this is referring to. Although I believe this would also count if you play in the NAIA.
That is correct.
Non-NCAA school. And that brings us to the story of Jet Elad. Jet Elad is
AI-generated name.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
Elad is Dale backwards.
Nice.
Jet Dale would be a much cooler name than Jet Elad. Jet Elad feels like a fake name that Jet Dale would come up with to elude, like, local police.
Jet Dale sounds like a 1A football team.
Jet Dale sounds like probably ran 14th in the last Craftsman Truck Series race.
Yeah, it does.
Finished a lap down. Anyhow, Jet Elad is a football player, 24 years old. 2019, red shirt, Ohio University. 2020, played in the COVID year. Got that year back. Played 9 games in 2021. We're at 3 years of college football, but we've decided one of them doesn't count, and the red shirt year doesn't count either. 2022, he transferred Garden City Community College right here in the Sunflower State. That is now 4 years of college football. He's been in college for 4 years. He has played 2 years. 2023 and 2024, he played at UNLV. He was really good. He was all Mountain West. And then he decided to enter the portal and transfer to Rutgers. And this is a lot based on the Pavia ruling, because one of his 4 years of playing was a junior college. So he has transferred to Rutgers and is waiting on an injunction for himself. The NCAA's argument in Elad's case is that his 5-year time frame ran out already. So where Pavia has been in college 4 years and played 4 years. So he has a 5th year. And his argument is, well, I should have 5 years to play 4, and my JUCO year shouldn't count. So I should get 4 Division I years, and my JUCO year shouldn't count in my 5 years. The argument that Elad is trying to overcome in his lawsuit is, bro, you've been in school for 7 years. And the NCAA is saying you've already ran through your time frame. You do not have another year. Elad's other argument is, not only should I have an extra year because I played junior college, I should have another year because I've got a $500,000 NIL deal that I've signed. And your rules depriving me of eligibility deprive me my right to what the complaint reads as, quote, a once-in-a-lifetime NIL deal. So essentially, the argument comes down to, from this perspective, I got offered money by a school to play. I should be eligible to play for them because I didn't have this opportunity in previous years. I should get the opportunity now. I should get a year to be eligible to play college football and make NIL money that was deprived me previously by past NCAA rules. That is the crux of Jet Elad's argument. Now, this case has not been adjudicated. There's not been a stay issued or an injunction granted to Jet Elad. Hearing is has been set for April 3rd. There has been some testimony on his behalf by Greg Schiano, the head coach at Rutgers, and it sounds like there will be a decision coming from the U.S. District Court for the Court of New Jersey and Trenton in the coming days. If he gets an injunction, college sports, and I hesitate to use this verbiage because I think other people have used this verbiage. I know that our listeners have used this verbiage in referring to college sports. But college sports, as we know them, are well and truly over if an injunction is issued here. Because what you are essentially saying, if an injunction is issued here, is everybody who played 4 years of college athletics, and used their 4 years, but any of those years did not come in an environment where NIL existed, it's going to be a land grab for one more year of eligibility. And for a guy like Zeke Mayo, who's to say there's not a college program out there that would offer him a chunk of money to play for them next year?
Probably the one he just played for.
Very possibly the one he just played for. A chunk of money that would be more significant or significant enough to get him to choose that route over a professional career. I mean, look, yeah, you can make more money playing in the pros. But if the choice is let's say I get $750K in an NIL deal, or I can make $1 million, but I gotta go to play in Bosnia. I think I might hang out in Lawrence and punt on the $250K.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable decision somebody can make. But if we get to that point where the boundaries of college sports eligibility are this warped and twisted beyond recognition, then what do we have here? Because we do not have college sports.
No, and I think the way that you could spin it is that, like, hey, we think you're going to turn out to be a good player. You still need some development. How about you go to JUCO for 2 years, and then we have an NIL deal lined up for you in 2028 if you go to JUCO for 2 years and you got 4 years with us. Like, if that's a thing, like
using JUCO like draft and stats.
Yeah. Like,
that's an interesting point.
Using it as the minor league.
Yeah, it could be wild.
Yeah, it's here's the crux of the issue that is going to unfortunately take us pretty much out of the world of sports and into a political realm that I'm not super interested in getting into, but it's going to become commonplace here soon. Is the reason let me start here. I saw former college quarterback turned spring football quarterback turned Twitter finger haver Kyle Sloter tweeting about this.
Denver Bronco
today.
great.
Yeah. The Slaughterhouse. He tweeted, like, this is what we need to do. We need to get rid of the multiple free transfers. That's how we're going to solve this. You get one free transfer. After that, you got to sit out. This is the way to solve it. And then a bunch of guys, hey, great idea, Kyle. Yeah. Okay. Propose it. Put that rule in place. Have fun in the courts. Because you know what's going to happen? The NCAA is going to lose. Because you know what always happens? The NCAA loses. That's why we are in this spot. Because the American judicial system has said, hey, you've been screwing over 18 to 22-year-old men and women for a century. You can't do that anymore. So that's where I mentioned we're going to get into an area that's drifting farther and farther away from sports here, because the current federal administration, and I'm not making a political statement here, I'm just telling you, the current federal administration is much more likely to side with the NCAA and what they want than the previous one was. And again, smarter people than me have said this. Matt Brown from Extra Points, we've had on the show before, he has written about this countless times. If you were hoping that the government would swoop in and say, we're going to fix this, one, why did you want that? Two, like, just generally speaking, but two, the Trump administration is more likely to do it than the Biden administration. And that is probably the only thing that is going to change this, because anything that limits compensation for athletes, right or wrong, is going currently to lose in the courts, because it has for 5 years now. They just keep losing.
It goes back to the Alston decision, right? It goes back to 2021 and the Alston decision, which essentially found that the NCAA's rules limiting NIL benefits were a violation of antitrust laws. Mm-hmm. If you follow the news, you know that if whether or not the sky is blue got to the Supreme Court, it would probably be like a 6-3 decision with Alito and Thomas dissenting, like, because they dissent on everything. The NCAA lost the Alston case 9-0.
What?
They lost in this Supreme Court, the one that we currently know as constructed. Again, watch the news. That Supreme Court agreed, yeah, man, the NCAA has been hosing these kids for years. There's nothing holding up the amateur model. Mm-hmm. And they lost a 9-0 ruling in that Supreme Court. And that was the Alston case. And everything that we have seen happen in the intervening, it's almost 4 years since the Alston decision, it all follows from there. Everything else, the Pavia decision, Elad's lawsuit, all of this stuff. Zeke Mayo, after 4 years of college basketball, saying, well, hey, I may as well throw my name in the portal because, hey, what if? May as well.
Right. No, like it's smart.
Yeah, there's no penalty. You're not penalized for putting your name in the transfer portal. All it costs you is like a little paperwork. And really, it doesn't even cost Zeke Mayo that. Like, a tweet or a text is good enough to express your intent to be in the transfer portal.
Yeah, you just got to tell, the compliance at KU or whatever. And like, if you're Zeke Mayo, it is very smart, right? For the exact reasons that you mentioned earlier. Like, hey, maybe I didn't get the offers I wanted. Maybe there's a part of the world I wanted to play in and I didn't get a contract offer there. I want to play at home and play for the year. Tyler, and you I don't think Zeke and Gary Bedore, the Kansas City Star, essentially put this on Twitter last night too. Like, he could come back if he is given another year of eligibility. I don't know that Zeke is wanting to leave, but the portal closes today.
Right.
You have to be, if you plan to transfer, you have to be in the transfer portal today. And otherwise, you're locked out of it. So yeah, leave every option open, enter it. Who knows when this will be solved? It sounds like within the next couple of weeks, and then you can make a decision from there. There's no time limit on when you can commit, just when school starts. So it's a smart move. Like, if I'm Zeke, if I'm the kid from, what was it, North Carolina that you mentioned earlier? Clemson, thank you. Knew it was an ACC school. Like, if you're any of these guys out of eligibility, Shaq Moore yesterday, it's smart because you've got a chance to maybe make some money, keep playing basketball somewhere at effectively a professional level. The problem here is at the administrative level that we've gotten to this point.
Because it doesn't feel like college athletics at this point. It just feels like the minor leagues.
It feels wrong to me, and I have no say in it, obviously.
I have long been a proponent that there is so much revenue in college sports that the kids who generate the revenue deserve a share.
Yes.
There was no moral argument against the kids who generate this revenue, and there is so much revenue, billions with a B, revenue, is particularly in the revenue sports, football and men's basketball, that it was immoral. I firmly believe that, to deny those kids a share of the kitty, essentially. But the fact that there was no common sense rule put in place by the NCAA, that they didn't prepare for this, they dug in and said amateurism will live forever. Amateurism today, amateurism now, amateurism forever. And when they got mollywopped in the courts, it set this down a path where, like, we got guys, people joking in the YouTube comments. Paul in the YouTube comments says Perry Ellis lacing up his Nikes, and Christopher saying Calvin Thompson, Ron Kellogg, Greg Dreiling. Do we think they could still play? But honest to goodness, what's to stop somebody whose college playing career ended several years ago? They played 4 years, meaning there was no fifth year for them. They never redshirt year. They didn't have a hardship year, but they played 4 years. And now they're saying, well, if I could get an NIL deal to play college basketball, like, why not? Like, I'm going to throw a name. I'm just going to pluck one out of thin air. Remember Evan Wessel at Wichita State? Local kid, right? I think he was a Wichita Heights kid, but you're a local kid. What's to stop him from saying, hey, man, I want a fifth year, and I'm going to get some NIL money from some Wichita businesses, and you can't deny me that because I didn't play when there was NIL money. So that would be denying me my civil rights, and I want to come back and play college basketball even though I'm in my 30s now. Like, why not? What would stop them?
No, the courts. That's what it, like it or not, that is what it is going to have to come down to, is the federal government and the judicial system saying, we are going to make a new precedent that you can't do this. To this point, they have not.
So be watching that Jet Elad decision and see if he gets an injunction, because if he does, it's going to make what you thought was already turning college athletics into the minor leagues, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse if that kid gets an injunction. And I don't know anything about him. I call him a kid. He's 24. Like, come on, man. Time to go pro in something other than sports. We'll take a break. Michael Swain's going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on this topic in just a little bit. But first, what is wrong with you after this time out on 580 Sports Talk? What is Wrong with You is brought to you by our pal Mo, Ryan Mo Winkle, State Farm agent. Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. The number to call, 785-273-1572. Get Mo on your side. Current weekly champion guy set his sex toys on fire, started a 3-alarm blaze in his neighborhood, burned up his house, 2 others, and a vehicle. All for 2 adult toys. It was just 2 of them.
That's hot.
2 very flammable adult toys. 2 stories today. I'm going to go first. We'll go out to Bozeman, Montana, where Bozeman police officers, 2 teams of patrol officers, were engaged in a bingo competition. Success in the game hinged on whether they engaged in actions listed on the bingo card. This, according to the police chief of Bozeman, Jim Veltkamp, who was explaining all of this during a press conference. That's not good.
No,
That's not what you want to do, is put your boss in a position where he has to hold a press conference. Now, they got a picture of the bingo card, mid-shift bingo, and there are things on there like drug DUI or DUI past 200 hours, or somebody is butt-ass naked. That's on the card. Or a team member hit on by arrestee.
bro, successful CPR.
Yes,
Don't mess around with that.
CPR, successful canine track. Things I'm sure that are fairly frequent happenings, or frequent enough happenings to put on a bingo card. This was happening in mid-January. The bingo card included multiple categories, but there were types of arrests or calls on there that you don't want to be manipulating to win a game of bingo. The game went on for 12 days until the command staff was made aware. At that time, the game was shut down. The internal investigation and the city's attorney's office conducted their own review and concluded that no cases had been affected by the game, but there are disciplinary actions taking place.
Wow.
Yeah, man, you can't play job bingo when your job is police.
No, not okay.
You could play 580 Sports Talk bingo if you wanted.
Yeah, we did that for the draft one year.
Center square, as Spencer mentions, a DC sports team. You do 580 Sports Talk bingo. That's all well and fun. You can't do I got to recover a stolen vehicle. You just lie and say, oh yeah, found a stolen vehicle. Write up the report, do the paperwork just to win bingo, crime bingo.
That's terrible.
That's crazy.
Spencer, your story.
Yes, 3rd time's the charm for me trying to find a story. If you know, you know. As an assailant offered a deputy a vodka spritzer and walked from his vehicle and lit up a cigarette before being tased by police during a pursuit through Sebring, Florida on April 19th. Footage released by the Highlands County Sheriff's Office showed. The Sheriff's Office said the chase began after Richard Christopher Smith had stolen several items, including several alcoholic beverages, and walked out. As the deputies were on the way, it was reported that the man was in a black minivan driving circles around the store. When deputies arrived, Smith sped off, launching a pursuit that ended several miles later in the parking lot of a business at the Sebring Airport. It was during the pursuit where Smith is seen on body cam footage holding a can of vodka spritz out of the window as he drives past the deputy trying to get him to stop. He tells the deputy, I was going to give you a drink. That's it. We don't know if it was what he was expecting to say, just say cheers and let him go, or what, the police said. Smith then attempted to ram 2 patrol vehicles in the midst of getting all 4 tires flattened by spike strips, police said. The story then took an even weirder twist as Smith emerged from his crashed vehicle, lit a cigarette, walked towards an officer. Officers responded by tasing Smith, who fell to the ground instantly. Smith is seen in the video asking officers, but you guys had fun though, right? As he was arrested.
That's a good kicker. I think that one wins today.
I like that one.
Yeah, he asked him if he had fun, but does that beat sex toys on fire?
Man, I
sex
don't think
toys
so.
on fire. Your neighbors are terrified.
I do not think so. I think
that one advances on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Click on his website, RyanMoWinkle.com. Michael Swain joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He joins us every Tuesday at this time for Jayhawk Weekly on the program. And Michael, we talked about it at the top of the show, but I want to get your general thoughts on the idea of Zeke Mayo and other players whose eligibility has lapsed from the NCAA jumping into the transfer portal just in case. What do you make of this?
I mean, doesn't it just scream college sports these days? Like, nobody knows what's going on. It's a hope and a prayer that something could happen. But because it's the NCAA, you don't know what's going to happen, so you have to take the chance. It's such a terrible, silly situation, honestly. And I think if someone like Zeke Mayo, and I know there are other people who have done this too, I think it's a smart move. They have to, right? Like, Zeke Mayo in college next year is going to make more than he would in the probably NBA if he's on maybe a two-way contract or anything of the sort, right? So why wouldn't he try and keep this avenue open if it's something that there's even a 5% chance of being a possibility, right? You've got to, in your own best interest for your basketball career and just for your own life, right? Keep this avenue open. Now, should this avenue be open? Is this something that we should even be having this conversation? Like, no, it's not. It's pretty silly, but you can't ever blame, I don't think, the players from trying to maximize their value, because there are only so many days that they can make money off of their ability to play sports. And for some of them, the end of this, college basketball season was probably the end of it. I'm not saying that Zeke, but there are plenty others who are really trying to hold on. So I don't blame them, but man, it really is a silly situation overall.
Speaking of players who are in the transfer portal, and we know for a fact they're going to have some eligibility for 25-26. Obviously, KU still looking to fill out their roster, and one player that they have some interest in is a familiar face, Texas Tech standout Darian Williams, who was kind of a surprise entering the transfer portal after he had a terrific year in a really good NCAA tournament with the Red Raiders. Seems like there's some mutual interest here. What fit would Williams be on that KU roster if indeed he were to choose to come to Lawrence?
Yeah, there's interest. And I think as soon as JT Toppin said he was going back to Texas Tech, I think that pretty much sealed that Williams was going to go in the portal. Look, I think he's a really good fit for KU, kind of at the 4, potentially playing the 3, kind of depends on how you want to look at it. But playing, on the wing, and I think KU is going to get more into this, 4-around-1 type of style. And man, Williams checks a lot of boxes. We've got a scouting report up on fog.net right now that people can read, but he checks some boxes. If you want to have someone that can handle the ball and has a good track record of, setting up teammates while not turning the ball over a ton, well, Williams has that. If you want someone that can, knock down threes, Williams has shown that he can do that too. And then obviously playing the Big 12, there's familiarity. He knows what it takes to win in this conference. And I think he's the type of guy that you add if he is your kind of final big portal addition. Man, I think you feel pretty good about that if you're KU.
Michael Swain is our guest. He joins us every Tuesday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. For Jayhawk Weekly, you can, of course, find Michael's work at fog.net and 24/7 Sports. Go be a VIP if you're not already. That is the way to get all those phenomenal scouting reports, other pieces of insight, and more from Michael regarding all things KU. So let's say that Williams does not work out. He stays in the draft. He decides to go elsewhere, whatever. Just playing the hypothetical game here, Michael. What does the approach for KU look like after that? Or I guess we could go kind of choose your own adventure here. If Williams does end up committing as well, what does the rest of the offseason plan look like for KU in that regard?
Yeah. So let's start. We can go positive here to start. So let's say theoretically Williams withdraws from the NBA draft. He commits to KU. So KU will have just used a bunch of funds that it already didn't have to get Williams. So that means then it's bottom of the barrel discount shopping, I think, for KU. Now, does that mean KU goes international and looks for a big man? Does that mean that they go and look for someone in the portal that's still kind of hanging around? I think those are the avenues KU would go. If Williams goes elsewhere, well, KU still has a guy in Trey White that can play the 4, and you've got, Melvin Council and Jaden Dawson who can both play the 2 and the 3. So, you can see what the starting lineup would look like. So then from there, you'd say, okay, how can you get this roster better? Well, I think then the focus goes on maybe trying to find a little bit higher quality big man, maybe someone that could play the 4-2 if you can really find a diamond in the rough. But I think for KU, regardless of what happens with Williams, they need another big man. You can't go into the season with Floyd Badunga being your only center, and then maybe it's, who knows what's going to happen with some of the walk-ons on the team. Maybe they keep Justin Cross in some situation. Like you can't have Justin Cross and Flory being your 2 centers. Like that's just not a situation KU's going to get itself into. So the center spot really does become the number one priority, and it's still going to be a big priority. But I think KU's going to be patient, see what happens, see what dominoes fall, and then really try to make a move from there.
If, again, playing the hypothetical game here, but if KU was able to land Williams, who do you think goes to the bench? I assumed it would be, and like Jaden Dawson's still going to play a bunch, obviously, but you can only start 5 guys at a time. I would assume he would be the guy who ends up your 6th man, but how do you think that would shake up the rest of the rotation?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I think it kind of comes down to what do you think? What do you like? Do you want a kind of another ball handler out there with Darren Peterson? Then yeah, I think Melvin Council could be your guy to start. If you want some more shooting out there, saying, hey, DPs when he's out there, man, he's going to handle the ball a lot, then I think you could put Jaden Dawson in there. Now, I think broadly, when you look at this roster and what are the ways that the rotations could play out, I think having someone like Dawson on the bench and Melvin Council starting alongside Peterson, I think that fits a lot better because then you've got 2 ball handlers on the floor to start, and then Marco Jackson can be kind of your first lead guard off the bench, and Jaden Dawson can be kind of your first combo guard / wing off the bench. And then that gives you plenty of looks, and then in the front court you got Bryson Tiller too. So I think that for KU, it kind of comes down to what Self wants, and I think everyone that's followed this program, I think knows what Self's going to lean towards. Right? It's a long athlete who can handle the ball a little bit, who can attack off the bounce to some degree and play really good defense. I think that's the guy he's probably going to lean towards. But you're right. Like Jaden Dawson's going to play a bunch. Melvin Council's going to play a bunch. Trey White's going to play a bunch. Like these guys are all going to play a lot. So it's one of those situations, and Bill Self, I can already hear it now. It's going to be October. Someone's going to ask him about the starting lineup. He's going to say, you guys read too much into this. Not who finishes the game, not who starts it. And we'll have the same conversation then that we're having now. It's just how the cycle works. But yeah, I think right now I'd have probably Melvin Council as a starter and probably Dawson on the bench.
The number 1 recruit in the class of 2026, Tyron Stokes, had a visit in Lawrence at KU the other day. Brought his dog with. That was awesome. What'd you hear about his visit? And can we expect the little guy with 4 legs might get one of those 15th or 14th scholarships next year?
Wouldn't shock me if that's a negotiation tactic these days. Yeah, things went well. I think he's someone that KU views as the 2026 prospect. That's something I've mentioned in a few updates. You can never rule out reclass stuff for someone like him that fits the bill, right? He could reclass up and still be eligible for the next draft. So that's always going to be a rumor that's out there. But I think KU is recruiting him as a 2026 player. And the thought process is pretty clear here. Hey, we got the number 1 player in the class right now, Darren Peterson. He's going to make a lot of money next year. And look at what we've done to A, market Darren, and B, build this team around him. Come and be that guy, right? Come be the guy that makes a bunch, that we build this team around, and you are the face of the program, and we market the heck out of you for 12 months. I think that's kind of the pitch KU has for him. And look, he's a darn good player. And now he's going to wait and take another visit in May, which then, all of a sudden you're looking at it, man, it's starting to get a little late there. People are going to start reporting in, late May, early June. Is a reclass going to happen? If, his people keep saying no and his family says no, he says no. So at some point, you got to take them at their word. So right now it seems like he will be a 26 prospect. And for KU, they're really going to hope that he can kind of continue this run of being a top player that they can build around.
We're joined by Michael Swain here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, and Michael's transitioning to football. By Job entered the transfer portal the other day. Are you shocked by him going in the portal? It seemed like maybe he was going to get a lot more play run this next season.
Yeah, man, guys, I don't know if anything shocks me these days with the portal. Look, I think he was probably looking at being a guy that competes for a spot on the 2 deep. obviously we've seen, at KU, the defensive end's a spot that they rotate a lot. And even if you're the second, weak side defensive end, let's say, you're still going to play a lot. And, Dak Brinkley had a good spring, and now he's going into second year. But for Bai, I think he wants to play, and I think he wants to play a lot. And I think there's probably schools out there that are going to guarantee him playing time. And it wouldn't shock me if he lands at another Power 4 school and gets a lot of playing time. He's a talented kid, but, man, he is very raw. And when he committed to KU last summer, he did so thinking that he could be on kind of the Austin Booker plan, i.e., have a good camp, get to play as a second string guy, and then potentially, over the course of the season, maybe you carve out a bigger role. Not necessarily being an NFL draft pick, but just in terms of that profile. And, he broke his hand, and that really stunted what he was able to do in camp, and then it limited him during the season. And I thought he flashed during the season. I think he would have been a player that would help KU and could really develop into somebody. But obviously these days you never know, right? You might be developing someone for someone else, and that definitely proved to be the case here.
Last thing for you, Michael. It looks like KU has at least filled the roster spot left by Joe. Leroy Harris committing today to KU, a defensive end out of Chattanooga coming to Lawrence. We got about 30 seconds here, Michael. So quickly, what's he going to bring to the Jayhawks here in his career, hopefully?
Yeah, so he definitely fits the model KU's look for a little bit, where he played a lot as a freshman. He has a redshirt available. So it gives them so much flexibility. If he comes into camp and at 6'5", 240, hits the ground running, well, great. You got yourself a guy that can help you out at defensive end. If not, great. He's got a red shirt. You're not burning any playing time. Doesn't hurt anybody. So he's going to give KU some roster flexibility, I think, this next year, and kind of gives them just another body. That's what you need in the defensive end, just bodies that can go in and play. So whether it's this fall or beyond, I think he's going to be able to contribute.
More information on his commitment and everything else going on with the Jayhawks at fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Michael Swain covers it tip to tail better than anyone, and he joins us Tuesdays here on 580 Sports Talk for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds great, guys. Talk to you then.
That is Michael Swain. We'll step aside for a break, come back and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk next. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Some sad news from the sports media world today. Mike Patrick has died. Spent 30 years as a play-by-play voice for ESPN. Was the voice of Sunday Night Football for 18 of those 36 years. Called his last event with ESPN, the Liberty Bowl in 2017. Did Sunday Night Football 1987 to 2005. Worked with Joe Theismann and later Paul McGuire. It's a voice instantly recognizable by a certain generation of sports fan that I'm sure that we all belong to here. But when I think about Mike Patrick, I will always think about my birthday, 2007. Georgia, Bama, top 25 showdown in Tuscaloosa. Georgia's down 23-20. Matt Stafford coming out to try and lead a game-winning drive. But Mike Patrick had something else on his mind.
I have an important question. Go ahead. What is Brittany doing with her life? Who? Brittany. Brittany who? Spears. What is she doing with her career? Why do we care at this point?
That was Mike Patrick, in all sincerity, asking Todd Blackledge, just as the Georgia offense is coming out on the field down by a field goal in overtime of this top 25 SEC battle. Hey, real quick, what was Britney Spears' deal?
Were they playing the music at the state? Her music at the stadium?
No,
or something?
the band was playing. You heard the band.
Yeah, no.
It came from absolutely nowhere. Todd Blackledge, so flummoxed,
Beside himself.
and a little upset. You can tell he's like, man, who cares?
Trying to watch ball here.
Who cares what Britney's doing with her life? It's a very 2007 clip.
If you, I'm sure you guys on the other side of this radio remember, but like, if you don't remember the phenomenon that was Britney Spears' day today, that was wild. And as someone who grew up with quite the crush on Miss Spears, I was in tune with everything that was happening every day.
Well,
I remember this game. It was insane.
Yeah, great game. And Mike Patrick just had a thought.
He is the voice of Sunday Night Football to me. He and Paul McGuire and Joe Theismann. That was when I was a kid. That is Sunday Night Football.
Absolutely. A memorable voice and a memorable moment there in his career. Mike Patrick, rest in peace, dead today at the age of 80. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines. We'll talk Royals. We'll do an NFL draft, either or over under. One more hour today on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour on this Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online 580WIBW.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News, if you'd like to see our smiling faces this afternoon. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuy with you. So glad you're along for this final hour today here on 580 Sports Talk, taking you up to 6 o'clock and then passing the baton to the Royals Baseball Network. Home sweet home for the Royals. You're never happier to get home than you are after a crappy road trip. It's not just a long road trip. I mean, 10-game road trip, you're always happy to get home after a 10-game road trip. When you go 2-8 on that road trip, you're really happy to see your home batting cage and the familiar batter's eye, and even like the parking lot attendants you're happy to see.
You also don't have an off day while you're on that road trip?
That's true. The off day yesterday, I'm sure, was very restorative. And then you're really happy to see the cavalcade of bums emerging from the visiting dugout this weekend as Colorado Rockies in town, or this week, I should say, for the first of 3 tonight. Pre-game coverage again at 6 o'clock. First pitch between the Royals and the Rocks at 6:40. It's not really a shortened version. I've seen some people refer to the Royals as the Roys. It doesn't work for me.
I call them the Y'alls.
The Y'alls?
Yeah.
There is a baseball team called the Y'alls.
Yeah, they're a minor league team.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Florence Y'alls of Florence, Kentucky. Apparently, the water tower in Florence says, Florence, y'all. And it's like their whole thing. And so they named the baseball team after that.
I like that.
The Florence Y'alls. That's Y''ALLS. They play in the Frontier League.
Interesting.
Florence is in northern Kentucky.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never been.
Way up north.
Did you know if you go to Cincinnati by way of an airport, you actually go to Kentucky?
I did know that.
Yes.
I did know that.
The Cincinnati airport is in Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't think this is real far from Cincinnati. You would definitely call it the tri-state area of Cincinnati, of Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Cincinnati men's and women's basketball played in the state of Kentucky for a couple of years while the arena was being
while they
updated.
were redoing the U.S. Bank Arena or Fifth Third Arena or whatever it was. They played where Northern Kentucky played.
Yep, that is correct.
The Norse.
The Norse Division.
Not that kind of Norse. That's Norris.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I always thought when I was a kid that Boomer was saying the Norse Division because, like, Vikings.
Yeah.
And cold and all that.
Yeah, no.
I was wrong.
It was a hockey reference.
As a kid who did not grow up with hockey at all, I was unaware of the reference.
Yeah, they used to have the divisions named. I couldn't tell you, like, who played in the Norris or the Prince of Wales
There's
division.
a Patrick division.
There's a
right?
Patrick.
Pretty sure the Caps are in a Patrick division.
I think that's right.
Because they do still have banners hanging up that say Patrick division.
So, yeah, the conferences and the divisions had names in hockey for a long time. You had the Patrick division, which was in the Prince of Wales Conference. You had the Prince of Wales Conference was the Eastern Conference. And the Campbell Conference, Clarence Campbell Conference, was the Western Conference. So now you know. The divisions, the Adams and the Norris were the Eastern divisions, and the Western divisions were the Patrick and the Smythe division.
Now they just
Smart
have
division?
trophies named.
And
Smythe.
then it was then it became the Norris division.
And then they use those names for trophies.
The
Lady Bing.
the Blackhawks were in the Norris division.
Yeah.
Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Toronto. Tampa Bay being in that division is hysterical.
Chicago, I mean, that's like the old NFL or NFC Central, right? Like Lions, Vikings, Bears, Packers, Bucks.
If let's imagine if baseball renamed their divisions after people.
Are we keeping the same divisions?
Yeah, we're keeping the same divisions, but you're naming them after like baseball luminaries.
The Hank Aaron
Okay.
division?
Yeah, the Aaron division.
Yeah, I would sign off on an Aaron division or a Clemente division.
I was going to say Aaron for the East. I would take either Musial or Clemente for the Central. I would prefer Clemente, but
Sure.
I could see Stan Musial, one of the greats.
The Jackie Robinson division for the NL West.
Okay, so there's your NL done.
The Lou Gehrig division for the AL East.
Okay.
For the Central,
Couldn't you make it the Babe Ruth division?
I would rather honor Gehrig than Ruth.
Yeah, well,
I guess.
Ruth's got so much stuff already.
Yeah, I was just saying because he played for multiple teams
right?
in the East.
I would go with like stars and legends of the game who aren't already like,
But like dignified
right?
legend, like Musial's would be a great one. AL Central.
Oh, Saberhagen. The Saberhagen Central. Boom, easy.
I was going to go Al Kaline.
Yeah, Al Kaline's a good one.
I go to the K-Line division, and then
not the Cobb.
No, not the. Though Ty Cobb got a bad rap.
Fact.
He did. He
probably wasn't great.
He was not an ogre, but he was also not like a nice man.
Yeah, Cap Anson not in consideration.
Yeah,
for
he
this
was
either.
not a racist ogre as he was painted to be, but also like not like the world's nicest guy. And then we need one for the AL West.
I'd say Henderson. I'd put that up there.
Division? That's interesting.
He's an Oakland guy. Well, they're not in Oakland anymore.
Oakland, Seattle,
Nolan
Texas.
Ryan pitched for multiple teams in that division.
He did. You know the Ryan division.
You can do the Ryan division.
Get a pitcher in there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Boom. We just solved a non-existent problem, and we can sell some merchandise off this.
Trying to think of any other luminaries from that particular division.
You give Rob Manfred this idea, he'd be like, all right, what corporate sponsors could I sell them to? The Dodgers play in the Rakuten division now.
Yes, that sounds about right. Did Nolan Ryan play for the Astros?
Yes.
Okay, so he pitched for 3 teams in that division.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
We just had this conversation the other day. I forget the Astros are in the AL sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, the Angels, the Astros, and the Rangers. That was the bulk of his career, in fact. Yeah, I like Nolan Ryan for that one.
Yeah. There we go. We renamed the divisions in Major League Baseball.
That nobody asked for.
Nobody asked for it, but we did it anyway.
We did more to support the game of baseball and its history in the last 5 minutes than Rob Manfred has done in his entire tenure.
We honored Roberto Clemente more than the actual Pittsburgh Pirates do now. You saw that whole kerfluffle earlier this year.
Yeah.
They took a sign with his name on it off the right field wall so they could put an ad up for some hard seltzer.
Bob Nutting.
Clown shoes organization.
Evil. Bad guy.
It's nice when another organization does something real stupid because it takes eyes off of my favorite team who's always doing stupid stuff.
Do they do like maliciously stupid stuff, or are they just incredibly incompetent?
It's more incompetence.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
it's more incompetence and malice. I think Bob Nutting hates Pirates fans.
Yes, I think so too. Also newspaper readers, but that's a different story.
Yes, but actually I don't think he hates Pirates fans. I say this because I saw this post over the weekend. They were doing a bobblehead for pitcher. Skeens. And it was the first 20,000 people, and the lines were wrapped across the bridge around the corner, and he was driving in, and he said they will make it so everybody that is in attendance to that game gets a voucher to go online and order one for free. Like, have it shipped to their house.
That is, I do appreciate that. I saw Skeens was interviewed in the locker room after his bobblehead day, and he was just kind of okay. Like, it wasn't a great game. Like, nothing. Just the most juiceless superstar in sports.
Yeah,
there's just nothing there.
He's just a mayonnaise sandwich, charisma wise.
He's a stud. Like, he's awesome, but just no personality at all. Not one bit. He's really good though.
Yeah, he's really good. Really fun to watch.
Another rookie too. This year is really good.
On the way up, Bubba Chandler. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Passon said this offseason that he thinks he can be just as good as Skeens.
Yeah.
Like, dang, that's going to net them such a disappointing trade deadline haul in 4 years.
Yeah, him and Bubba Chandler, they'll get Jared Jones healthy. That's a legit 1-2-3. And then their second best hitter is Tommy Pham. And that's kind of where it falls apart.
I love pitchers duels, though, so I'm all for it.
Let's get into some 580 Sports Talk headlines for the day, shall we? Yeah, let's do some headlines. We'll start this one from ESPN.com. NCAA proposes new rules to allow direct payments to players. The board of directors on Monday proposed deleting 153 long-standing rules from its handbook.
What?
A move that will allow schools to share financial benefits directly with players. It's an expected step towards a new era of amateurism in college athletics, writes ESPN's Heather Dinich, but one that remains contingent upon the approval of the House settlement. This all has to be approved, and then these dominoes can start to fall for real. There are 9 major proposed legislative changes, including permission for schools to provide direct financial payments to players, including for their use of NIL. Proposed legislation also includes sport-specific roster limits and allowing full scholarships to all student athletes on a declared roster, a move the NCAA said will double the scholarships available in women's sports. Board also approved new rules that would create technology platforms for schools to monitor their payments to players and for the athletes to report their third-party NIL agreements. There are also steps the players can take if an NIL agreement is considered outside of the range of compensation developed by the external independent clearinghouse. So the House settlement, it's on like the 5-yard line. It's on its way into the end zone.
Everybody knows it's coming.
Everybody knows it's coming, and there may be a change or two to some of the wording to satisfy the judge presiding over the case. But that's going to get over the line, and when it does, it will allow Power 4 schools and others who choose to offer settlement-related benefits to provide up to $20.5 million per year in direct financial benefits to players. Not all Division I schools will operate in this new system. The Ivy League has already chosen to opt out, but the expectation is that this will be what is allowed. And so the NCAA has already started to rip up their rule book and rewrite some new rules in anticipation of this new atmosphere. So that is the latest as far as that goes. Next headline.
Next headline, it's kind of an amalgamation of headlines here, but the offseason programs are starting for a number of teams around the NFL. Some notable names either are surprisingly appearing or are not appearing across the league. Let's start by the Bay. Brock Purdy, who is looking for a mega extension, he has shown up at the 49ers offseason program. That's not a surprise. Like, young quarterback looking for a contract. If you don't show up to voluntary workouts, your team's not going to have your back. Let's just be frank about that. And Purdy seems like the kind of guy who's not going to rock the boat. He showed up. His best pass catcher, though, did not. George Kittle also looking for a new contract. And according to reports, I'm just going to leave it at reports here, he and the 49ers are currently pretty far apart on potential terms for a new contract. That's not what I would want if I was Brock Purdy. To get a big, fat new deal and my second best offensive player, well, probably third, McCaffrey and Trent Williams are also up there. I would not want George Kittle to not be there. They've got a really good connection. I mean, Kittle's put up some really good numbers with Purdy, but it sounds like they're pretty far apart right now.
So apparently it has come out in the course of draft reporting that the 49ers believe that there are 20 first-round players, that they have a first-round grade on 20 players in this year's draft, which would be more than most people have assigned to this particular class.
Yeah.
And what that tells me is that is the 49ers signaling a willingness to trade back.
Yes.
Because they would like to add picks because they are going to need cheap labor, a bunch of draft picks, because they are having to pare their roster back because they are preparing to pay Brock Purdy $55 million. And that is insane. That is utterly and completely insane that they are going to ride with Brock Purdy. I actually thought it made a lot of sense to just say, hey, we found you as Mr. Irrelevant. We'll go find another one. We'll go find another, veteran college passer. We'll develop him in the Shanahan offense, and we'll make this thing shake. And we'll just surround him with the Avengers when it comes to talent at the skill spots and talent up front and talent on defense. And we'll really make this thing shake, and we'll be competitive year in and year out because we'll just never pay a quarterback. Because we can do that in the Shanahan offense. I really thought that was the play. Apparently, no. Apparently, the play is we're going to pay Brock Purdy $55 million. All the best, Kyle Shanahan. All the best.
Here's the problem with that. I don't know that we will. I don't want to say never. I mean, it might be a decade before we see an amalgamation of talent like that again. Like, the Eagles have a very talented roster. It doesn't match like the last 3 years of the 49ers. A guy like Ayuk, Debo in his prime, Christian McCaffrey, a Hall of Fame left tackle, a cheap quarterback, a defense that until this past year was among the very elite. Like, they went 4 years in a row with arguably the best roster in the entire NFL. That's crazy. And this, like, that signals that they're going to pay Purdy. It signals to me that they are just going to enter a new era of trying to build the roster. For what it's worth, what is my opinion on the 49ers worth? Maybe not all that much. I don't really have a problem with paying like the number they're going to pay Purdy. That's what you pay starting quarterbacks. Like that's the market value. I think
you pay him if you think he's the reason you're doing all this winning. And I am still not sold, even though I think Purdy has taken steps forward as a quarterback. I don't think that's the guy you say this is the franchise.
I probably would. I agree. I think Purdy's fine. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah. I was higher on him than either of you guys in our quarterback rankings last year. Like I'm not saying he's a bum. What I am saying is I would not give him $55 million. I would not have given Dak Prescott that kind of money. There are quarterbacks who are worth that kind of money, and then there are quarterbacks you let other teams give all of that money to. And Brock Purdy falls to me in the latter category.
I would imagine, and this is just a guess, the 49ers are terrified. Because the other quarterback that the Niners drafted recently?
Trey Lance.
You know what Trey Lance is going to be up to in a few months? Probably trying out for the Arlington Renegades.
Selling me a phone.
Like, that was...
Like at a local Verizon store.
Brock Purdy is, I would argue, the luckiest draft pick in history. Because if Brock Purdy doesn't hit when he was drafted as Mr. Irrelevant, Kyle Shanahan is an offensive coordinator somewhere. And John Lynch is back in the booth at Fox.
Yeah.
Because those two guys would have gotten what canned immediately if they had to ride with Trey Lance. After all those picks they get, because Shanahan has
3 first rounders for Trey Lance, yeah.
Yeah. Like, Purdy, I think, is the luckiest pick of all time. Good for him.
Yeah.
And they're going to reward him for it. The other notable player who is not at an offseason workout right now, running back James Cook of the Buffalo Bills. He has been as loud as anybody in the league about wanting a new contract this offseason. And the Bills have pretty much told him, that's nice. They have absolutely no desire to pay him, and they have made it abundantly clear. I don't think James Cook is going to show up to until week 1. I think he will be there week 1. I do not think he will be there until week 1, though. He wants to get paid, and I think James Cook's really good.
I do too.
But the Bills are going to say, nope, we're paying Josh, and we're going to pay probably some of our defensive players eventually. Like, we're good. Thanks, though, James.
Next headline, Spencer, you've got effectively a quarterback trade in college football.
Yeah, if you could call it that. UCLA quarterback Joey Aguilar plans to transfer to Tennessee. This comes after everything we learned from the last couple of weeks about Nico
Iamaleava.
I still botched that.
Say it like it's the theme song to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nico Iamaleava.
There you go.
Okay.
You got it.
He is going to UCLA, as we know, after he got out of his Tennessee or wanted more money than Tennessee was going to give him.
Yep.
Also, his younger brother, Madden, is going to join him at UCLA. So UCLA has the two brothers.
2 Iamaleavas.
Yes. With one couldn't be enough.
At that point, Iamaleava.
I believe they're Iamale larvae at that point. So Madden was originally committed to UCLA. So there's actually a prior relationship there. Here's the problem with UCLA. They kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like, that is a bottom feeder Big Ten team right now. They shouldn't be. UCLA should never be a bottom feeder in anything.
They hired
but they are.
Deshaun Foster as their head coach, and he looked pretty overmatched in year 1. Aguilar was a pretty nice get for them out of the portal. He was
App State.
Yeah, 2-year starter at App State. Set a school record for total offense in his first season. Did throw a lot of interceptions. He's a bit of a wild boy, 24 picks in 2 years. So he's a bit of a wild card, but that could be fun in Tennessee. I'll be interested to see what Josh Heupel makes out of him.
Yeah, that's a good addition for them. I mean, they could have been in a far worse spot than that.
Absolutely. And then it doesn't end up being the cascading, oh, you stole a quarterback. Now this program's got to go get a guy. And then that program's got to go get a guy. No, they just ended up trading quarterbacks. Kind of funny how that all worked out.
Yeah, very funny.
Let's do the playoff roundup, shall we?
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
I I've had better nights. We'll start in the NBA, where in the first game last night, the Detroit Pistons hung on in a wild fourth quarter to win their first playoff game since before Barack Obama was elected president. That is how long it has been since the Detroit Pistons, a proud franchise with 3 NBA championships, had won a playoff game. Quick, who has more NBA championships, Pistons or the Knicks?
The Pistons.
Yes, that is correct. And they had not won a playoff game since Cade Cunningham, their best player now, was 6 years old.
Cade Cunningham's really good.
The player who led the Pistons in scoring the last time they won a playoff game was Antonio McDyess.
Oh, that's a good one. I was going to guess Rip Hamilton.
He's 50 now. So the Pistons beat the Knicks and even that series at 1-1. Also, even the Clippers and the Nuggets, Kawhi Leonard was unbelievable last night. 15 of 19 from the field, and it was all jump shots, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the great jump shooting exhibitions that you will ever see in basketball. And a reminder, if you needed one, that Kawhi Leonard is an all-time great when he is operating at full capacity. Unfortunately for the Denver Nuggets, he appears to be, at least for now. That's always a pretty tenuous thing when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, but he is active, and he had 39 last night. And combined with the worst playoff game I've seen Nikola Jokic have in his MVP era, that was enough to get the Clippers a 3-point win over Denver in Denver to even that series at 1 game apiece. And you go look at the box score, and you'll say, wait, Jokic had a triple-double. What? You're saying that was the worst game you've seen him have? You're just going to have to trust me if you didn't watch it. He had 7 turnovers. He was bad. They couldn't get him the ball in the paint. It was bad.
Christian Brown had a missed shot at the end of the game.
Christian Brown would have murdered somebody in the third row if the backboard hadn't been in the way on his game-tying 3-point attempt.
Yeah,
he shot it so confidently and almost shattered the backboard.
Yeah, it was bad at the end. I saw that.
3 game twos tonight in the NBA. Indiana and Milwaukee. Pacers lead that series 1-0. Memphis and OKC. Thunder won the first game in that series by 51. Stunningly, that's not the NBA TV game. It's actually Bucks Pacers is the NBA TV game. And Minnesota and the Lakers, game 2 of that series. Minnesota, the road team, with a 1-0 series lead. Over to the NHL, unbelievable that of all of the accomplishments in the great Alex Ovechkin's career, an overtime playoff goal was not one of them until last night. The all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history had never scored an OT winner in the playoffs, but delivered last night to help the Caps avoid a Game 1 collapse. They blew a 2-0 lead to Montreal, but win it 3-2 in overtime. Spencer, did you destroy any property, tip anything over, need a new TV, anything like that?
No, but this is just how it goes when you're a Washington fan. They give you greatness for the first 40 minutes, and then they just relax. They just start relaxing and getting ready to head in to take a nap. Get ready for the next game a little bit early. But shout out to Sean McDonough. Great job on the play-by-play last night on ESPN. He basically summoned it. He summoned the
spoke into existence.
Yeah, it was on the face-off. He's like, Ovechkin's in his illustrious career, he's never had a playoff overtime game-winning goal. And then literally 5 seconds later,
I guess he was due. So Washington goes up 1-0 on Montreal. Winnipeg holds off St. Louis to go up 2-0. The Kings led the Oilers 4-0, blew the lead, and then scored in the final minute on kind of a fluttering knuckle puck of a shot. And they beat the Oilers 6-5 in a very funny hockey game. Also in overtime last night, Dallas beat Colorado 4-3. That series is even at a game apiece. Do not ask me who scored the game winner. I turned the TV off as soon as I saw the puck go in the net. It was 12:10 a.m. Central Time. I was sleepy and grumpy. So I do not know who scored that goal, and I'll never know. Tonight, Game 1, finally, in the Battle of Florida, the Panthers and the Lightning. And Game 2's in New Jersey, Carolina. Hurricanes lead 1-0. Ottawa and Toronto. Toronto leads that series 1-0. And Minnesota and Vegas, the Golden Knights, lead the Wild 1-0. Not my favorite night of playoffs.
No, I'm sure.
In my life. Although I will say this. Saturday, when both Denver teams won, Saturday felt better than last night felt bad.
That's good.
And surely there's a lesson there, you would think, but I'm 38 and I haven't learned it yet. So what does that tell you? That's our playoff roundup. We're going to come back with a quick round of either or over under NFL draft edition with the draft 2 days away. But first, a word from my friends at Great Life. We're not going to get, it looks like we're going to get a little moisture, but today would have been a great day to get out on the links. One of the 5 great great life courses across the Topeka area. And if you are a member, you get outstanding benefits. If you're an all-inclusive member like me, greens fees, cart fees, a free large bucket of range balls every day. So many great benefits to being a Play Everything member or an all-inclusive member. If you are a golfer, you've got to be a Great Life member. Go to greatlifetopeka.com to learn more. We're back with more 580 Sports Talk next. .534 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer. Text line's open, 785-272-9429. We're going to play a quick round of either or over-under. Usually we do this on Thursday, but I thought today would be a good day to do it because we'll have a shortened show Thursday and because the NFL draft is in 2 days. So, in that spirit, this is an NFL draft-themed edition of either or over-under. And I will begin. Over-under. 1.5 starting quarterbacks from the 2025 NFL draft who are starters in the league 5 years from now.
Starters in the league 5 years from now.
1.5?
1.5 over-under.
I will say over. I think Shedeur Sanders is too good to be benched. That's about the maximum I can give you on him, though. I think Ward will be. Plus, first overall pick, unless you are truly, like, historically awful, he's going to get so many chances, even if he's not good in Tennessee.
Ward was the gimme. What I was curious to see, do you believe that there is another long-term starter in the draft?
I think Sanders will be good enough that he's, like, we can't bench this guy. We could do better, but we can't really bench this guy while we have him. So yeah, I'll say over that number. I don't believe in Jackson Dart. I don't. I know this is helmet scouting and that's not the right thing to do, but like Lane Kiffin's offense doesn't lend itself to good NFL quarterback play. Who's the best Lane Kiffin NFL quarterback? You're looking for Matt Barkley. That's the answer you're looking for. Matt Barkley.
I'd have been looking for him forever.
And look, who was the best Jeff Tedford quarterback before Aaron Rodgers? Kyle Bowler. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the, again, 5 to 7 best to ever play the sport at that position. Like, all it takes is one. But it's just, it's gimmicky, man. They run like 4 plays, and they're all RPO gimmicks. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe in a 26-year-old rookie in Tyler Shuck. I don't think any of the late-round guys. The late-round interesting guy, I think, is Kyle McCord, who I love as a backup. But, like, I would draft him to be a backup. Like, that's all I'm looking for with him. I don't think he's going to be a starter.
Yeah, the league moves fast on this stuff. I mean,
it does.
Think about the 2022 class. There's only one starter from the 2022 class of drafted quarterbacks right now, an active starter, and that's Brock Purdy. Everybody
was the last one picked.
Yeah, literally.
All the other Kenny Pickett is never going to get another opportunity to start.
Well, he might. He's in Cleveland now. And Deshaun Watson's got an Achilles tear.
Yeah.
It's going to be him or what other idiot do they have?
Won't be the true starter.
Yeah, he won't be like
our guy.
Future. Yeah. He might start week 1, though.
Yeah, he could be the week 1 starter.
Desmond Ritter's never going to get another chance.
No.
Malik Willis is settled into life as a backup, which is fine. Matt Corral was drafted in the 3rd round that year.
Is he in the UFL now?
He is, yes. Yeah, he was just playing the other day.
Yeah, I thought I saw him on TV.
The Zapster, Bailey Zappi, was a 4th round pick that year.
Chief.
He's never going to start again.
Did you remember he was a Chief?
They re-signed him.
Like a week.
No, they're
bringing
on
him
the
back.
roster.
Oh, they brought him back. Yeah, he was
their training camp.
He's the 3rd stringer. Yeah.
2 teams have already decided they don't want any more Sam Howell.
And
a 3rd might.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, the Seahawks are just his second team.
Yeah, the Seahawks are just
they are looking to trade him.
They would love to be rid of him. And then the other 7th round quarterbacks drafted that year, Chris Oladokin and Skylar Thompson. Skylar
Thompson is in Cleveland.
Is he really?
I'm pretty sure he's their 3rd
Did he end up in Cleveland? That's funny. Hey, Skylar's going to get some run because he started that playoff game.
He's with Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
One of those teams.
Yeah. All right. You got either or over under draft style for us?
Yeah, let's go with another over-under here. Over-under 2.5 running backs in the 1st round.
Ooh, 2.5 running backs.
Genty's a gimme. I think Amarian Hampton's a gimme.
Matt Verderam told us he believes Travion Henderson's going in the 1st round.
I heard that on a podcast today, too, that they think Travion Henderson's got a real chance. Spoiler, I'm going over, and somebody in this room is going to end up with Travion Henderson in the 1st round in my mock draft on tomorrow's show.
Oh, you mean somebody's favorite team?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody's their favorite team.
I think
the Dan Luceros are getting Travion Henderson.
I think the Washington Commanders are going.
Spencer, that is a very smart guess.
Because I know they're looking for one.
I'm going over.
Yeah.
I think Henderson's going to go.
I do too. Matt sold me. I'll go over. I'll say 3.
Because you know what? I said this the other day talking about Ashton Genty possibly falling down the board. Like, at some point, you're just taking worse players. Like, a buddy of mine, in fact, that's who I was talking to. One of my best friends, a huge Bears fan. He doesn't want the Bears to take Ashton Genty if he falls to 10. I was like, dude, here's the situation. Like, I get positional value and all that. But, like, would you rather have an okay, cool-ish, neat offensive tackle prospect? Or would you rather just take the 3rd best player in the whole draft? Like, at some point, you're just taking a worse player. Would you rather have an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle who, like, you maybe like you can squint and kind of see the Pro Bowl future, or just take the best player available if it's Travion Henderson? That's how I feel about it. So I'm going over. What are you over under there?
I'll take the over.
Yeah.
I just think there's a need this year.
There are so many good running backs, though. So many.
What's your either or over under for us?
All right. I will go with either or here since you guys both did over unders.
Right. Love it.
Trade wise, will the first trade in the draft be to trade up or a team trading down?
Well,
Aren't they technically the same
aren't they
thing?
technically the same thing?
Somebody has to move up if somebody's moving
Yeah,
down.
but like if I'm on the clock, I'm trading.
So you're like the aggressor in the
Yes.
trade. Okay, a little abstract, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I am going to say that the Carolina Panthers are trying to move down. That's what I will like. At 8, they can get a good player. You know what Carolina needs? A lot of good players.
Yeah.
And there's enough like competent front 7 players where they really need help. I think it makes sense for Carolina to say, somebody come up to 8, somebody jump the Saints to come get Shador or, God forbid, Jackson Dart. We'll move back 5 to 10 spots so we can add some defensive depth later. I think Carolina would like to trade back more than someone would want to trade up.
I'll take the opposite tack. I think it'll be somebody who's aggressive, and I think it might be Houston. We didn't get to this in our NFL draft news and notes, but there's a lot of noise out there about the Texans looking to trade up. They need some more talent on that offense.
They are picking 25th. The Vikings ahead of them at 24th. Minnesota can kind of go anywhere except quarterback. Like they could go line, they could go anywhere defensively. The Packers are 23rd. Is it the biggest need? No. Would you be shocked if Green Bay took an offensive lineman? No. Of course not. So yeah, and would you be shocked if the Chargers went with a guy in the trenches? No. Pittsburgh?
Jim Harbaugh,
no.
yeah.
Like any of those teams, I think could. I'm with you. I think Houston might very strongly consider that.
That's either or over under. We'll take a break. We'll come back and get you set up for Royals baseball tonight as the Royals get set to take on the Colorado Rockies. Game 1 out of 3 between the Royals and the Rockies. Game 2 is tomorrow night, by the way. That's a Wednesday night game at 6:40. And I want to send one lucky listener. I got a pair of tickets for the Royals and the Rockies tomorrow night at Kauffman Stadium for caller number 3 to 785-272-9429. Caller number 3, 785-272-9429, wins the tickets, goes to see the Rockies and the Royals. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Congrats to David, our ticket winner today. He's going to see the Royals on Wednesday night against the Rockies. Hopefully we send him to a W. We'll give away another pair later in the week for the weekend series against Houston as well. So more chances to win with 580 Sports Talk. Game one of that series tonight, Royals and the Rockies. Chris Bubich, the southpaw for the Royals, on the mound tonight. And he has been, I think, better than even I would have hoped that he would be through his first handful of starts this year. And he's doing it without premium velocity, which I think is the most impressive thing about his start so far.
Yeah, he is currently in the bottom fifth of all major league pitchers or starting pitchers anyway, in fastball velocity. It's sitting right over 92, 92.1. He's still getting nearly a 31% whiff rate. That's how many swings result in a swing and a miss. That's top 20% in all of baseball, which is kind of amazing. I was trying to go through some other advanced analytical data, like Fangraphs has something called Stuff Plus. We've talked about that before. It's pretty much dead on league average. Like, nothing is super overwhelming. He's just getting guys to miss. I don't know if it's deception or what.
I think it is. Like, you watch, he's got long levers and he hides the ball really well.
Which is a legit skill. I think it's a very underrated thing, and it's working. That's a really good combination, I think, that swing and miss rate, even without a lot of velocity, against the team that, as you laid out for us at the top of the show, just doesn't make contact.
They strike out 30% of the time.
That's
and
crazy, man.
It's like Sunday night, I turned the game on. It was the one they beat Washington. It was a Sunday night game. There wasn't anything else on. And I turned on the last couple of innings. They had a runner at third with one out, and they had two like young hitters coming out, like guys that they're excited about prospect wise that came up. And I think they saw from a not very good reliever, which the Nationals, Spencer, they don't have any other kind, do they? That's pretty red.
Kyle Finnegan is decent.
Yeah.
And
other than that, I think
that's about the most money they spent on the bullpen.
They have the worst bullpen ERA in the major leagues.
I believe so.
I think I read where they were close.
I believe so, and it's because they won't spend money on relievers.
I don't.
Hell, they barely got Finnegan back. Remember,
yeah.
He wasn't even on the roster until late spring training.
So it was some bum out there pitching for Washington, and it was 6 pitches, 6 swings, 2 strikeouts. Like, not even close, not even coming close to making contact. So Chris Bubich, who strikes out 10 guys per 9, should be in line to make some Rockies hitters swing and miss tonight. Ryan Feltner goes for the Rockies. I mentioned earlier that the Rockies as a team typically do not strike people out either. So, yeah, great combination. And not only do we swing and miss the most, our opponents swing and miss the least. But Feltner strikes out 8 guys per 9. He's the one guy who's figured that out a little bit. He's also walked close to 5 guys per 9, carries an ERA of 4.82 into tonight.
Yeah, the problem with his K per 9 is that he's still facing a lot of batters. So he gets the strikeouts eventually, but there's a lot of traffic in between them, which is obviously concerning. His breaking ball, his breaking pitches in general, he throws a couple different ones. I'm looking at his advanced profile right now. Among the worst breaking stuff in all of baseball. Fastball is about mediocre. Off speed, mediocre. Breaking pitches, his slider, his sweeper, his curve, which he doesn't throw very often. All crap.
Yeah, some of that is Coors Field, but
sure.
Yeah, he's
he also does get a lot of swing and miss, though.
He's capable. He's the only guy on that staff who's capable, but he is capable. This is the lineup he'll face tonight for the Royals. Jonathan India in left field, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny Pasquantino at first base, Salvador Perez behind the plate, Michael Garcia gets the start at third base and bats 5th. Michael Massey's at second, batting 6th. Hunter Renfroe is hilariously the designated hitter tonight. Drew Waters gets the nod in right field. Waters had a couple of okay games in the Detroit series. I'm still not buying stock, but nudge the batting average up over the Mendoza line. And Kyle Isbell in center field, batting 9th. The lineup for the Rockies, fun game you can play at home. See how many of these guys you've heard of. Sean Bouchard in right field will lead off, followed by second baseman Kyle Farmer, third baseman Ryan McMahon. Hunter Goodman is the DH, batting 4th. Michael Toglia bats 5th at first base. Jacob Stallings is the catcher, batting 6th. Mickey Moniak, former number 1 overall pick, is in center field, batting 7th. Jordan Beck batting 8th in left field. Aaron Schunk is the shortstop, batting 9th.
The Royals are currently sitting 13th in the major, so just above the midpoint in terms of average exit velocity, how hard they're hitting the ball every time up. Just above average. Ryan Feltner, the starting pitcher for the Rockies tonight, gives up a lot of really, really, really hard hit balls. Yeah. 92.4 miles an hour is the average exit velocity off Ryan Feltner. If you can make contact, you can hit the ball really hard. And that top half of the Royals lineup, India, Witt, Vinny, Salvi, Garcia, those are dudes who can hit the ball really, really hard. This should be, even if Feltner is one of the better arms in that Rockies group.
Damning with faint praise.
True. I think this should be a fairly good matchup stylistically for this Royals offense. Is that going to matter? Maybe not. But I do think they kind of match up well what Feltner struggles with versus what the Royals theoretically do well.
Royals-Rockies, game 1 tonight, 6:40 first pitch at the K. Pregame coverage starting here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 in about 7.5 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to take one more time out and come back with a final word to wrap up 580 Sports Talk. Time for a final word on 580 Sports Talk. We'll let Spencer Dupuis go first tonight.
We are a couple days away from draft night. Excited for our 580 Sports Talk draft extravaganza. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Got it.
You did.
Last year we were kind of muted on the draft coverage. We had a little bit of draft coverage, but it wasn't like the full extent. So I'm excited for like my first big one where we're going to be like just more than Dan and I last year. I think Brendan, you were on vacation? Maybe?
I was on a bachelor party trip.
Yeah,
You were having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I had grand plans last year and then said, hey, by the way, Dan, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that Thursday night. And obviously the draft is life-changing for a lot of people. And I'm excited to see who the Chiefs pick at 31. I'm thinking about my team.
I am very excited that you just said it like that, Spencer, because that segues into my final word. The longer or the closer and closer we get to the draft, the more and more I am thinking about the Chiefs trading out of that 31st pick one way or the other. I don't really care which way they go. It's kind of a weird class. We'll get to our mock drafts tomorrow on the show. But I just feel like the Chiefs can do something, either make a splash to make the team noticeably better by moving up, or move back, add some capital. I know they've got 8 picks, but 3 are in the 7th round. Add some more meaningful depth caliber capital in the middle of the draft. do something to make a bit of a stand here this year. Just kind of a weird year to sit at number 31. I hope they make a move.
Final word from me today. If you are tuning into Royals baseball tonight or any of the next 3 days, you're probably going to have a moment at which you see what I have long known, that the Colorado Rockies are bad and might really be the worst team in baseball history. I think they've got a real chance, given the strength of their division and their general ineptitude and just general stale fustiness of the entire operation. They got a really good chance to break the White Sox record and lose 122 games. I think they can do it. I believe in them. Part of that, though, would be losing road series decisively. That has to start tonight for the Royals. They have to be energized coming off of the win on Sunday and the day off. I expect something like an offensive eruption tonight. Eruption being a very loose term given the state of the current Royals offense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they score early and by their standards often in a routine win tonight. And again, Chris Buvich, the over on strikeouts for sure. That's going to do it for us here on 580 Sports Talk today. We will be back tomorrow from 3 until 6. We'll be breaking down that Royals-Rockies tilt, getting you set for game 2 of that series. Tim Fitzgerald will join us for Wildcat Wrap-Up and more. So I hope you will join us then. Until then, for Spencer and Brendan, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.